For the first time since 2009, Illinois defeats Michigan, snapping a 6-game losing streak against their Big Ten rivals. Matthew Bailey, 11 tackles and the interception there. Jack Tuttle, his first start for Michigan, had 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles and an interception as Illinois wins it 21-7. This Big Ten on CBS postgame report is presented by Belfour Property Restoration. Welcome in CBS Sports college football writer Richard Johnson. Illinois, did you learn anything about Illinois on this day? Because I felt like we saw a team that was playing inspired. We saw them lose to Penn State, but this team feels like they're looking a little bit better than what we thought of them when the season started.
You know, Hakeem, Illinois has been solid this whole season. I think the Illini have come out under Brett Bielema looking to prove a point, looking to say, hey, you're not going to roll over us like things used to be, and they have proven that. Penn State had a heck of a time trying to get past this Illinois team a few weeks ago. That wasn't easy.
No.
And so in this game, you come in and you think, well, okay, every Michigan game the rest of the season is basically going to go along the same script. If Michigan doesn't give the other team too many extra possessions, they'll probably be fine. Against Washington, they gave the other team too many extra possessions. Against Minnesota, they didn't, and they were able to control the game in that ball game. But here, you just see when they get down, Hakeem, there's nothing they can do because they don't have a gear in the passing game. Jack Tuttle starts this game again in place of Alex Orji. And the interception that we just ran earlier coming in to this segment, you just can't throw that ball. Jack Tuttle thinks he's going to have a wide open touchdown in the corner of the end zone because he thinks he sees what the defense is doing, and he doesn't. He just did not have in his eye the right look of Illinois' defense, and it cost them. Whatever hope they had of coming back in this game evaporated with that interception, with that turnover. Michigan is not good enough to overcome self-inflicted wounds this season.
Yeah, Michigan last 4 seasons, the last 3, 40-3, this season 4-3, and they become the 2nd reigning champ in the past 30 years to lose 3 of their first 7 games. Shouts to LSU with a heck of a season in 2019, but they struggled in 2020. We had the COVID season as well. For Michigan, this was an elimination game in terms of the college football playoff. For Illinois, are they explosive enough to compete with the big boys in FBS football? Because we've seen them at moments. Other times we're like, okay, what is this team? What can they be with Luke Altmaier running the show?
Well, no, they're not good enough to play with the upper crust and completely bang with the upper crust. I do think they are good enough to upset a team on the upper crust, but this wasn't that. Michigan is not in the upper tier of college football this season. Just because the winged helmets are on the field doesn't mean you're getting the same Michigan that you've seen the last couple years. They're just not that team. They're just not. And we talked in the break before we came on. Illinois had 5 sacks today.
Yes.
This is a
T-Rod Edwards had 2 of them.
This is a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line in the past. But that's the point, Hakeem. The past is the past. Those guys on that Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, a lot of them play on Sunday now. And the Texas game showed you that they are not the same team up front. Texas absolutely bullied this Michigan team in Ann Arbor. So, you know, whatever you thought about Michigan's solidity up front, I hope that went out the window in September. Now you understand what they are, and the rent came due in this game against an Illinois team that would not roll over.
When you look at Illinois, right, this is a team that in years past, you would say they probably would have lost this game. These are games now they're winning because now they're 3-1 against ranked teams this season when you consider they were 2-32 in their previous 34 games. So Brett Bielema is doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Illinois is no longer a laughingstock right now. Again, this is a solid team. You're going to have to play good football. Again, and Nebraska found that out a couple weeks ago. You're going to have to come in and play a good game of football. You are not allowed to turn the ball over and march out of Champaign with a victory, which, man, how about that for a statement, right? You've got to be on your P's and Q's if you want to beat this Illinois team.
The fans rush the field. I think that's deserving as well, especially when they're celebrating.
Tear down the goalposts, march them to Chicago. You just beat Michigan.
Rededicating the field, the 100-year anniversary of the legendary performance from Red Grange against Michigan. That was, if you don't know about that story, I don't have time to go through it, but Google it. And our CBS team did a great job capturing that off the top of the broadcast as Illinois wins this one 21-7 to improve to 6-1 and 3-1 against ranked teams this season. Get back out to Champaign, Illinois. Welcome in the lead voice of CBS Sports College Football, Brad Nessler. Brad, I'm wearing my throwback jacket in honor of what you all did in this broadcast because I'm a TV nerd, and what you guys did was amazing. That was like a chef's kiss off the top of the broadcast. How fun was that to be a part of?
It was really fun. Again, you know, we started the beginning of the week. Gary kind of came up with the idea. We did something, Gary and I, a long time ago, similar when we had a Harvard-Yale game and we wore the old sweaters, you know, and the caps and all of that thing. And you got a hold of Craig Silver and said, we got to do this. We got to do something. And we wanted to be part of it because, you know, I love the history of the game as you do and as Gary does. And just to be part of the fun today was pretty special. And to start off in black and white and work our way to color and just thinking about Red Grange. I knew most of the story, but as the week went along, you really get into it and you start thinking, I got to dig deeper into this, you know. And then I realized afterwards, and I forgot to mention it on the broadcast today, Red Grange was one of the first analysts on TV. Yeah. He worked with Lindsey Nelson.
You're right, yeah.
So, I mean, his career was unbelievable. He brainstormed, you know, he just barnstormed with, you know, in the NFL, and they kind of went around and they played a bunch of games, and sometimes they were official NFL games, and sometimes they're just pickup games so they could make money. The whole story, if you go back and go through it all, it was unbelievable. And it's a great start, you know, for the rededication of the stadium today. And the scene behind me says it all. Everybody that is still around is down on the field right now. It was a fun day. Yeah, what the broadcast team did today in Champaign, that's what we call in the business high production value right there. And for Illinois, high value in this win as they win it 21-7. What are your impressions, your takeaways of this Fighting Illini team after watching them? Well, I think Aaron Henry's defense did a marvelous job today. They knew that, you know, the third starting quarterback for Michigan, they had so much trouble throwing the ball, and Jack Tuttle had, you know, not a good afternoon. They never decided to switch or maybe go to Alex Orji. But, you know, I think they just did a really nice job of mixing up their defense. They disguised some things. They came with pressure when they had to. Matthew Bailey had a huge game. Both their outside linebackers / defensive ends, you know, were in Jack Tuttle's face seemingly all day. They really did their job. The offense didn't do anything flashy, but they did just enough. And, you know, they could have had actually a few more points. They had a field goal blocked, and so it could have been maybe more like 27-7 the way it went and the way it worked down. But this is a good Illinois football team. I thought they were coming in, and they convinced me today. Illinois got Luke Altmaier out of the transfer portal coming over from Ole Miss. We know that Michigan elected not to get a quarterback out of the portal after last season when they won the national championship. They seem like they're sort of searching for something right now. They're off to a 4-3 start, not where they wanted to be. What's your evaluation of this Wolverine squad through 7 games? Well, I've seen them twice now, and, you know, they're not obviously a defending national champion. They got 3 losses already. I think Jack Tuttle probably would have been the starting quarterback had he been healthy. But I'm with you, you know, talking about the portal, just going back. They used the excuse, if you want to call it an excuse, that, you know, with Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL, it happened so late. The portal was already deep into its movement for most of the quarterbacks. I just think the cupboard was left too dry. Whether Jim Harbaugh was coming back or somebody else was going to be the head coach, I think they could have done better, as a lot of teams have done, getting a quarterback in the portal. And they're in trouble now because they're stuck. I mean, they've tried 3 guys, and none of them have really worked out very well, and their schedule's not getting any easier. Yeah, this was basically an elimination game for the college football playoff, and Michigan on the outside looking at Illinois very much in the playoff picture, and a big one next week as they travel to Eugene to take on Oregon. Brad Nessler will be on the call for that one on CBS. Brad, thanks for spending some time here with us on CBS Sports HQ. Thanks, Hakeem. You look great in that throwback stuff. Oh, appreciate you. Oh, big Brad Nessler fan right there. That's my guy. It's my guy right there. Brad always looking sharp as well. Natalie clad in the broadcast today as well. And look at the fans at Memorial Stadium where they rededicated on this day, having themselves a ball as Illinois wins it 21-7. Their first win over Michigan since 2009. More highlights and reaction coming up here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Belfour.
Back here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Belfour Property Restoration. Here with Richard Johnson. Time now for the Belfour Player of the Game. Who are you targeting?
Whew, Hakeem. Process of elimination. But I'll take Luke Altmaier.
Or you can just say the defense for Illinois.
I'll take Luke Altmaier, Illinois' quarterback. What I think was important here was Luke Altmaier was able to do enough with his legs in this game. He finishes. He finishes with 59 yards rushing, and to me, that gave Illinois on offense enough of a dimension to get around Michigan's defense. Look, Michigan's defense is not what it once was, and I don't think Illinois' offense is incredible, but it's solid enough, keep the chains moving, efficient, all that sort of stuff. Not exactly explosive, but efficient. And that's all you need, because when you're playing Michigan on the other side, you just let Michigan beat themselves, because apparently that's what this Michigan team is going to do.
Fifth career game with a passing and a rushing touchdown for Luke Altmaier, the former Ole Miss quarterback. Michigan having a quarterback problem. They don't really have a guy. They went to Jack Tuttle, his first start for the Michigan Wolverines. When you look at Illinois going forward, because this was an elimination game for the Wolverines, sort of a bridge year in program terms. When you look at Illinois next week on CBS, this is their biggest test to date. They faced Penn State, but now facing Oregon on the road. How do you evaluate that matchup?
Look, I think for Illinois, it's big to win this game because this isn't a win that Illinois gets, right? Illinois always finds a way to screw it up. And honestly, one of the under-the-radar storylines in this year's Big Ten is teams that typically screw it up very much not doing that. Illinois here, Indiana earlier in the day against Nebraska. So I think that Illinois right now, you have a little bit of belief, right? Sure. You say, hey, we can do it. We can beat a giant. We can beat a helmet. It's not about the name on the front of the jersey, so to speak, and we're solid enough to get the job done.
Well, and you'll remember that something that Oregon tends to do, or Dylan Gabriel, his turnovers, few of them have come in the red zone. What did Illinois get today? A red zone turnover. So if that defense is coming at Dylan Gabriel, we could have some problems, and we could have an absolute bonkers game. I say that because it's like you expect Oregon to win that game, but Illinois might be flying under the radar.
Our colleague Tom Fornelli, massive Illinois fan. Shout out, Tom. He's got a term that I love. It's called red zone roulette, right?
Yes, he does.
Basically, you play defense and you say, hey, we'll let you get the first 80 yards, and then when you get inside the 20, we're going to tighten the clamps. We're going to make you execute. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Oregon wasn't able to early in the season. Now, they did against Ohio State. I mean, it's why they won the game. So they were able to figure it out there. But, yes, your point is well taken that maybe Dylan Gabriel has an off day against Illinois, and, it's a giant Slayer upset.
Yeah, let's clip that off and get that to Tom, because shouts to Tom. Tom, we love you. Congrats to the Fighting Illini as they beat Michigan for the first time since 2009, snap a 6-game losing streak. Richard Johnson here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Belfour. Coming up, how awesome were those unis? I mean, the process to make those helmets, intricate. Luke Altmaier and the Fighting Illini to victory as they rededicate their field and a big win over the Wolverines. That's coming up next here on CBS Sports HQ.